And that's the problem that I have with this whole situation. But I am going to save this conversation for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, you're watching. I know you're watching because you got people calling me. Stop having people call me. You can call me yourself. You know how to get my number. You know you got people calling me. Call me yourself because this right here is going to go viral.
And we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because Jay-Z is up next to be exposed.
What if the most powerful couple in music isn't just protecting their image, but straight up erasing anyone who dares to uncover their darkest secrets? That question has been haunting the industry for years, whispered in back rooms, record label offices, and late-night studio sessions. But now it's not just gossip anymore. Jason Lee finally put it all on paper. His lawsuit against Jay-Z and Beyoncé isn't about clout or cash. It's about survival. He claims that ever since he hinted at knowing something explosive about the Carters' past, his whole career started crumbling piece by piece. Suddenly, shows got canceled, sponsors ghosted him, and he began receiving anonymous messages warning him to stay quiet or else. One night outside a Los Angeles event, he says things went too far. Someone allegedly tried to send him a deadly message, and it left him shaken to the core. Sure, Jason's always been a magnet for drama, wild, outspoken, unfiltered, but this time, it feels different. This isn't about clicks or headlines anymore. This feels personal. The court documents filed in early 2025 lay out what he calls years of intimidation, supposedly by a powerful network connected to Jay-Z and Beyoncé themselves. People close to the situation say Jason once bragged about having the real story behind Aaliyah, and that's when everything flipped. He suddenly stopped mentioning the Carters, toned down his posts, and according to his lawyers, that's when the serious threats started coming in. Something about this whole thing screams bigger than beef. It sounds like someone's trying hard to keep a lid on secrets that could shake the whole industry. To understand why that single name, Aaliyah, still sends chills through the industry, we gotta rewind all the way back to 2001. Officially, her death was ruled a tragic plane crash, but the deeper you look, the more the story feels off. She was flying on a small twin-engine Cessna 402B overloaded by nearly 700 pounds. Just seconds after takeoff from Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas, it went down in flames. The pilot, Luis Morales, wasn't even certified to fly that specific plane, and when investigators checked his toxicology report, it showed traces of illegal substances and intoxicants. The plane was too heavy, the weight balance wrong, and even the paperwork turned out to be falsified. Everyone on board, Aaliyah's bodyguard, makeup artist, and crew, lost their lives instantly. The coroner's inquest wrapped quietly in 2003, lawsuits got settled behind closed doors, and all the official files were sealed tight. But that explanation, it never sat right with people. Aaliyah was just 22, at the very peak of her fame, and the weekend before her death, she was surrounded by some of the biggest figures in hip-hop. Damon Dash, Jay-Z, and others whose names still raise eyebrows to this day. Something about that weekend never added up. Right before it all happened, Aaliyah had just wrapped filming the iconic Rock the Boat video, the one that would go on to define her legacy forever. But here's the part most people still argue about today. She allegedly didn't even want to get on that flight. According to a Bahamian witness who came forward years later, Aaliyah was completely drained that day. She reportedly refused to board the plane, saying she wanted to rest, but things took a dark turn. The witness claimed she was eventually carried onto the aircraft after being given a sleeping pill to calm her down. If that's true, then Aaliyah may have been unconscious when that doomed plane took off. What's wild is that these accounts were never fully disproven, just quietly brushed aside like they didn't exist. That same summer, Jay-Z was spotted with Aaliyah multiple times at Hamptons parties, recording sessions, and flashy industry events, often right next to Damon Dash and other power players. People inside the scene say Jay was totally taken by her, and Damon Dash later admitted they were both chasing her attention hard. By August 2001, Aaliyah had officially started dating Dash, but Jay's circle never seemed far away. Then came the crash, sudden, tragic, and too convenient, according to whispers from a few producers and label insiders. Publicly, it was all grief and tributes, but privately, people started asking dangerous questions that never got real answers. The pilot's shady record, that last-minute switch of aircraft, and those sealed settlements, together they paint a picture that now feels chillingly familiar. This is exactly how power protects itself, quietly, efficiently, and with deep pockets that make the truth disappear. Every time a witness tries to speak up, the story changes, the proof fades, and somebody's career mysteriously collapses. When Jason Lee started dropping hints online that he had receipts connecting Jay-Z to one of the music industry's darkest unresolved tragedies, everything flipped overnight. His Hollywood Unlocked show suddenly lost its distribution deal, sponsors backed out, and major platforms stopped mentioning his name. That same week, Lee posted that someone high up had warned him to stop digging into Aaliyah's files. And after that, things spiraled fast. By early 2025, he claimed his accounts were hacked, his phone contacts deleted, and multiple contracts pulled by companies tied to Roc Nation's business circle. It was like someone hit a button and his whole digital life got wiped out. And now in 2025, it's hard to ignore how that same old blueprint seems to be running again. Intimidation tactics, sealed records, and a wall of silence from every corporation involved. It all mirrors what followed Aaliyah's crash too perfectly to ignore. In his lawsuit, Lee describes a calculated campaign of retaliation, financial blackouts, smear efforts, and even a physical confrontation in Miami. After he announced plans for a tell-all documentary, he says a man connected to a Roc Nation security team approached him outside a hotel and told him straight up to stop mentioning old names. Officially, it's being labeled harassment, but people close to Lee insist it felt like something way darker, a warning meant to shut him down. The real question now isn't just whether Jason's telling the truth, it's why so many in the industry are terrified to even ask. Every few years, another whisper surfaces about what the Carters might know, who they've protected, and how far they're willing to go to keep certain stories buried for good. One former insider described it perfectly: a system of silence that's been running strong since the late 90s. The names at the top haven't changed. Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and others, only the stakes have. And now, with one of those figures serving a multi-year federal sentence tied to trafficking and coercion charges, all eyes are shifting straight back toward Jay-Z. His name just got added to a civil lawsuit accusing him of an assault that allegedly went down in 2000, right after the MTV Video Music Awards. The timing couldn't be more suspicious. That same year, the circles, the lawyers, even the alleged victims, and it's all starting to connect in eerie ways. After years of secret settlements, NDAs, and silenced voices, that so-called untouchable image is beginning to crack. First, one empire collapsed under the weight of hidden scandals. And now Jay-Z's facing questions from that same era, surrounded by some of the same people involved back then. When you line up the timing, Jason Lee's lawsuit doesn't look like random gossip anymore. It looks like the next domino tipping over in a much bigger chain reaction that's finally hitting the industry's biggest names. His filings even hint at a hidden archive of information, a vault supposedly connecting major figures across 2 decades of Hollywood and music scandals. Lee hasn't dropped the receipts yet, but insiders close to him swear he's sitting on something explosive. The same people who once called him a loudmouth or a clout chaser, now they're staying quiet. And that silence says everything. Now, even some of Jason's old critics are quietly admitting he might have stumbled onto something way bigger than he ever realized. Some believe it connects back to sealed court files from the early 2000s, wrongful death cases tied to Aaliyah's flight that never saw the light of day. Others think it could involve private label communications from the time when both Aaliyah and Beyoncé were under the same powerful industry umbrellas. Whatever it is, the implications must be massive because multiple law firms have already stepped in to block Jason's discovery requests, claiming national security and privacy exemptions. And that phrase right there, national security, sent shockwaves through the internet. Since when does national security have anything to do with a pop star's lawsuit? Something about that doesn't sit right at all. As of this month, Jay-Z's legal team insists that all of Lee's accusations are completely false, calling him a desperate opportunist chasing headlines in the middle of the chaos surrounding another high-profile conviction. But that response? It's starting to sound way too familiar. We've heard this playbook before. After Aaliyah's crash, after Michael Jackson's scandals, after Lisa Left Eye Lopes's mysterious accident in Honduras. Every time it's the same routine: sealed files, destroyed footage, and an entire culture that moves on before anyone gets real answers. Something about this pattern feels chillingly deliberate, like history's repeating itself right in front of us. Still, something about this whole situation feels different this time. The lawsuit isn't being whispered about behind closed doors. It's public, it's everywhere, and Jason Lee refuses to back down. According to sources close to the case, he's already made sure his evidence is protected, handing copies to his legal team and a few trusted people just in case anything suspicious happens to him. And here's where it gets wild. One insider claims those materials could link the very same network of producers and execs who were around Aaliyah during her final week to the new allegations surrounding Jay-Z. If that connection is real, and right now it's still a huge if, then it would mean the empire built to protect the Carters might have cracks way deeper than anyone ever thought possible. That brings us to the question no one wants to say out loud, but everyone is thinking, what exactly did Jason Lee uncover that made him too dangerous to be ignored? Here's how this game really works. When someone threatens the image of the untouchables, the first move isn't violence, it's silence. The machine kicks in through non-disclosure agreements, secret payouts, and sealed court filings that never see the light of day. It's a strategy the industry perfected long before Jason ever filed his case. They learned it by watching how power shields itself, using fear, influence, and money to bury anything that could expose the truth. And now that one of those power players has already been sentenced to years in federal custody, the spotlight is creeping closer to everyone else connected to that same old system. The system that protected powerful men for decades didn't just survive, it thrived. Every single witness who ever tried to speak out was met with the same three walls: denial, deflection, and legal intimidation. And if that's what one mogul could pull off, imagine what Jay-Z and Beyoncé can do with a billion-dollar empire and a network of lawyers sharp enough to rival a government agency. We're watching that same machine move in real time right now. Multiple insiders say Jason Lee's lawsuit set off a chain reaction. A wave of cease and desist letters, sudden trademark audits, and canceled contracts that all look official on paper but send one clear message: stop talking or lose everything. The pattern feels way too familiar. This is the same quiet power play that once ruled the industry, isolating accusers, burying evidence, and silencing anyone who knew too much by offering them shiny consulting deals to keep their mouths shut. Everything dressed up as business, but all built on fear. People who've been in the game for years say it's the oldest playbook in Hollywood, refined to perfection. Step 1, legal threats. Step 2, smear campaigns to kill credibility. Step 3, total erasure from the industry. And here's the most chilling part. Jason Lee might not be the only one. Insiders are whispering that several others, former managers, assistants, even label staff, have faced the exact same pressure. Quiet threats, vanishing opportunities, and careers that just suddenly flatlined the moment they got too close to the truth. Some insiders claim that a few witnesses were forced to sign NDAs through shell companies, while others took hush money buyouts that legally forbid them from even mentioning certain names ever again. If that's true, then Jason Lee's lawsuit isn't just one man fighting back, it's the first visible crack in a massive system built to bury its own witnesses and rewrite history. We've seen this story unfold too many times across Hollywood and the music world. A scandal breaks out, a lawsuit drops, and then suddenly, silence. Careers vanish, statements get retracted, and the media moves on like nothing ever happened. But this time, Jason isn't disappearing quietly. His claims of being blacklisted, hacked, having his shows pulled, and even receiving direct threats have forced people to stop brushing it off as just gossip and actually pay attention. The question hanging over everyone now is chilling. How many voices has this network already erased? And the timing? Way too suspicious. Just a few months after that federal sentencing rocked the industry, Jay-Z's legal team hit back hard, filing a countersuit against Jason Lee's lawyers and calling every claim a malicious fabrication. That move shocked even veteran reporters who've seen it all. Because if the allegations were really baseless, why respond with that much firepower? Something about this entire back and forth feels less. Why would an entire corporate army mobilize just to crush a story they claim is a total lie? In this industry, that kind of overreaction usually screams exposure. It's like the Carters' empire is trying to prove its power through intimidation, suing, silencing, and spending millions just to make the noise disappear. The harder they push back, the more people start wondering what they're really trying to hide. Behind all the courtroom chaos, though, a darker theory is starting to gain traction. Some insiders say this lawsuit was never about blackmail or clout. They believe Jason Lee's files contain evidence of something way deeper, a web of influence connecting artists, executives, and financiers who've quietly benefited from keeping certain scandals buried for decades. If that network truly exists, it would explain everything. The panic, the sudden media blackouts, and the intense counterattacks. The fear isn't just about one man's accusations. It's about what could come spilling out if those sealed documents ever go public. We've already seen this play out before. After Aaliyah's tragic plane crash, everything was settled quietly. No closure, no justice. After that massive conviction shook the industry, victims were thanked, statements sealed, and the silence returned like clockwork. Now with Jay-Z facing civil accusations dating back to the early 2000s and Beyoncé's billion-dollar brand intertwined with global corporations, the stakes aren't just personal anymore. They're systemic. Every hidden truth becomes a financial risk. Every silenced voice, a calculated expense. In this world, secrets aren't just protected, they're profitable. But what happens when the silence finally breaks? Imagine the chaos if those hidden depositions ever came out, exposing how record deals were traded to buy silence, how artists were blacklisted for telling the truth, and how one generation's downfall conveniently cleared the way for another to rise. Jason Lee might have opened a door that the industry thought was locked forever. And whether he realizes it or not, he's standing toe-to-toe with an empire that's been built on fear, loyalty, and buried secrets. But here's the twist. The harder that empire fights to contain him, the louder the whispers grow. Anonymous emails start circulating, old insiders resurface, and fans are digging through 2-decade-old footage, catching inconsistencies in timelines, faces, and stories that no longer add up. It's starting to feel like something big is unraveling, like a power structure cracking under its own weight. Because real power doesn't just rely on money or lawyers, it thrives on fear. And according to those who've been inside, the world surrounding Jay-Z and Beyoncé isn't just a team, it's a fortress, guarded by silent obedience and absolute control. Former staff and collaborators have described an environment where access equals status, and one wrong move can erase everything you've worked for. Loyalty, deals, endorsements, friendships, all of it gets measured by how close you are to the couple's influence. The deeper you go, the more invisible the strings become. Favors aren't given out of kindness, they're currency, traded for leverage, keeping everyone tied to the system so no one can walk away clean. But here's the real question, what happens when that fear finally fades? When the ones who've been silenced for years decide they've got nothing left to lose? History has proven again and again, every empire eventually collapses, not because of an attack from the outside, but from within, by a disillusioned assistant, a producer who kept receipts, or a friend who saw just a little too much. Each one of those people could be the spark that finally brings the curtain down. As the power shifts and the old alliances start to crumble, loyalty is breaking apart. The same people who once guarded the secrets are now questioning if protecting power still means safety, or if it's painting a target right on their backs. If Jason Lee's lawsuit pushes even one insider to break their silence, the whole structure could collapse overnight. The unspoken code that's kept this industry protected for decades, built on favors, fear, and buried truths, could finally crack wide open, exposing the debts, betrayals, and moral compromises hiding beneath all that glitz and glamour. And if that day comes, no amount of luxury, influence, or philanthropy will be enough to protect the empire from the storm that follows. The question hanging over the industry right now is hauntingly simple. How many more Jason Lees are out there waiting for the right moment to speak up? Because if Jason's right, this isn't just another celebrity feud. It's a full-blown war for truth, fought behind closed doors in boardrooms and backrooms, where every contract and every signature could end someone's career. And in battles like these, the first person to fall is always the one brave enough to speak. But what happens when that person refuses to stop talking? Are we about to see the fall of one of the most protected empires in music history? Or the destruction of the man who dared to challenge it? I want to hear your thoughts. So do you believe Jason Lee's claims, or do you think he's pushing against powers far bigger than he can handle? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and make sure you subscribe, because the next chapter in this story is coming fast, and you won't want to miss it. See you in the next one.